All right, I am back. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Yeah, just had a few things I had to take care of on this end before we jump on this live, but we're here now. Well, yeah, it's 103 degrees out here in the sunny and beautiful state of Arizona, so it's a warm one. So, yeah, it's that kind of day. But to look up at the sky and to see that beautiful sun, and I'm not complaining at all. I'm telling you. And I hope where you are, the sun is shining. And, if not, it's probably dark or whatever, whenever it is that you're looking at. I'm just glad that you're here. And remember, make sure you do take the time and to get that sun on that beautiful melanin of yours. That's why you have that melanin. That melanin is reminding you every day to make sure that you feed it what it needs, and that is that beautiful sunlight out there. Welcome to this broadcast, and let's put on some music. We're going to give people about a minute or so to get on, and then we're going to dive in, and we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about today. All right, well balanced broadcast that we have for you. We're not going to stay in the doldrums or anything like that. You know how we do. So welcome. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay.
They took me from my window, put me under neon lights, said grow the same, don't ask why, in somebody else's climate. Told me bloom wherever planted, but they never changed the soil. Still I learned to bend towards something. Still I learned to save my joy. I grew quiet, I grew careful, learned to drink just what I need. But don't confuse my adaptation for the limit of my seed. I ain't broken, I ain't small, I'm just listening to the room. I was built for gentle waters, not the pressure of this gloom. Hey, I'm an African violet, I don't bloom just anywhere.
All right, about another 30 seconds.
Measuring my petals, by the ruler of the storm. Wonder why I don't grow reckless, in a place that hates my form. I learned patience, I learned silence, I learned power. Don't need noise, I don't waste my energy trying to impress a void. Every leaf a declaration, every root a quiet plan. I am not what you allow me, I'm more than where I stand. I can feel another climate calling softly through my veins.
All right.
I don't curse the place I'm in, but I won't confuse it with my name. I'm an African violet, I don't bloom just anywhere. I don't break myself for survival, I require love and care. I'm an African violet, still restrained but still complete. I don't shrink to fit the system, I remember who I be.
All right, let's go ahead and get in it. Hey. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's broadcast. So glad that you guys are here. Welcome. Like I said again, yeah, it is 103 degrees out here in Arizona. 103 degrees out here. And It's quite something, and we're not even in our summer yet. We're not even in our summer yet, and it's hold on for just a second. Let me look at something here. Hold on just a second. Let's see. Today is, I had to verify that because I wanted to make sure. Today is the first day of spring, I believe. Today is the first day of spring, so happy spring to you. I know I got some people out there, the extra woke people out there that says, well, according to the calendar that I go by, spring happened, whatever. I'm just saying the weather's different, okay? How about that? The weather is different, at least for many of us. It is quite different. And the first day of spring out here is quite warm. And it's interesting because some of these trees, my camera went out. I knew that was going to happen. I'm still here, y'all. Hold on for just a second here. Let me tweak this thing just a tinge here. Get this camera back up here. Just give me just a moment here. Come on, Mr. Camera. You could do it. You could do it, Mr. Camera. Hold on just a second here while I'm trying to fix this here. We're going to get this camera back up here. Hold on for a second here. Let's see. Come on. Come on. There you go. Come on. You could do it. You could do it. You can make it. How many of y'all remember that song? You can make it. This time, how that go? This trial you're going through. God's gonna show you just what to do. You can make it. I'm trying to sing to this camera to get it to work. You can make it. I don't care what's going wrong. I don't remember the words, so help me with this song. Camera, you better work. I'm going to go off on you. You can make it. Come on, camera. Almost had it. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Almost there. Let's see. Come on, camera. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I think I have to do something here. Hold on. Ay. Still here. All right. There you go. I'm gonna have to do that. There you go. All right. I have to adjust some things here. All right. Let's see. Does that? Okay. Kind of, sort of. All right. Hold on. Let me adjust this. All right. Turn that. All right. We're back. Okay, I think that's gonna hold it there. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. All right. Yeah, it's been quite warm here. So if you see me sweating a little bit, it ain't because I'm nervous or anything. It's just, yeah, it's, where our house is, it's the way it's positioned. It's this time of the day, we get the full sun. So yeah. So anyway, how you guys doing besides I hope you guys are doing well. Well, as you know, like I said, we've been going through our own little challenges on this end, but every day is a new day, and we're getting through things and stuff like that. And if you didn't see our, the last live broadcast, we talked about, share with some of the things that was going on as far as the business and all of that. And, the good news was that we've been able to move the website over. The site is in fact live, and it's been live, it's been up. And so everything's seemed to be working just fine now again. But yeah, it was yeah, it's been, this has been 2026 has been quite a year so far for us. It's been quite a year. It's been extremely challenging, and it's good to have, good people like yourselves there that, between emails and messages and all of that, and just letting us know that, hey, listen, we're with you and all that, and we really appreciate that. But like I said, we did that. There's end of the month. End of the month, I would say Nicole and I will do our video, because we're gonna give you, there's a lot more that we didn't share, but yeah, it's been quite something. And so that's one of the reasons why it's been, my videos, the live broadcasts have been kind of sporadic, because what I didn't want to do is to talk about certain topics and I'm still dealing with my own stuff. You know what I mean? So I had to kind of separate. I said, today ain't a good day. I can't talk about that, because I might be putting some of my own stuff in there. You know what I mean? So I had to, just, and give myself, most importantly, just some time, you know what I mean, to get just adjusted and all of that. And so that's why the videos have been sporadic. So I'm kind of slowly coming back in, when I can and all of that. So, but anyway, real quick here before we get into our topic. Well, I'll just give you a highlight of the topic. As you can see, it's an ongoing topic that we've been having on this platform here. It's something I'm going to read to you that I actually posted on our community page earlier today. And because I want to make sure that there's absolute clarity on what I'm saying. A lot of people will see the thumbnail and immediately jump to conclusions. Oh, here we go, another Negro. He's probably a MAGA guy, and he's just dumping on black people, and he's not giving any solutions, and we just don't need to hear that and all that other stuff. I will tell you right now, you are 10 million % wrong on that, okay? No, we don't. What we do talk, I'm not a MAGA guy, first of all. That's number one. So we can rule that out. Number two, we do, as I wrote earlier today, I put forth some great effort on this platform to always try to keep things positive, uplifting, encouraging, and all of that. And I try to stay on that as long as I can. But there's some things that we just can't ignore. Okay, we can't ignore. I don't live in fairy tale world. Okay, there are some very real things that are happening in our own space. We could talk about Trump. You could talk about Gaza. You could talk about, whatever. You could talk about Epstein. You could talk about Erica Kirk and all that stuff. All of those things, they don't directly impact my backyard, the backyard that I've been used to, okay, that I grew up in. They don't directly impact that. That's some extra stuff. If we were to talk about that, I would get the likes, I would get the shares, I would get the views and all of that. But this stuff right here, no, we need to talk about this, because there has to be a constant reminder in your ear that a separation has to happen. If you're really serious about moving forward as an individual, there has to be a constant reminder of that, okay? But we're going to talk about that. But as always, towards the end of the broadcast, which I hope you stick around to, we're going to talk about the practical solutions that you can implement now. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. That's the flow of the broadcast. That's typically how we do it here. And that's it. But let's go ahead and just real quick, just give you some real quick reminders here. As soon as I can bring it up. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Okay, here it go right here. Let me bring it up here real quick. We are, for a very limited time, we have brought back our the juices, those tropical juices. This has been a favorite of many of our Samba Tree family. Well, and remember, we told you was a few months ago, we said we're discontinuing. We said we're going to pull it off for a while. We're going to get things some, restructuring. We're going to do some things, and then we're going to bring it back. Well, this is just kind of a trial run, okay, because we want to make sure we orders come in and we get it out as quickly as we can or whatever. So this is a trial run, limited offer, a limited offer that we have right now going on. It's not any particular extra discount you're getting on it, but it's available. Okay, these are 100% juices. There are no additives. There's no extras. There's no like red dyes. There's none of that. We don't do that in our house, and we don't want you to do it in your house. Okay, so we have that available now. So you can get it in packs of 6, and I think you can get it in much larger packs as well. So those are available now. If you're, soursop, I know for many of our people, we absolutely love soursop, everything from the leaf, which we have. Then we got the juice, soursop juice. And the soursop juice, a lot of times when you go to some of these stores, typically you have to go to one of these international stores. They'll have the soursop juice, but typically they add a bunch of sugar to it or corn syrup and all that stuff. You don't need to add that stuff to soursop. The fruit by itself is good enough. That's all we need, right? And so that's exactly, we looked high and low for it. And when you look at the ingredients in the back, it's just soursop juice. That's it, right? And this is something, all 4 of these we enjoy at our house all the time, all right? My personal favorite is the mango. Oh my gosh. I mean, something about mango. There's something about that. I'm just it's something about mango. I just love mango. You could give me mango cereal. You could give me mango soap. You can give me mango candle. You can give me mango deodorant. I don't care. I just absolutely love mango. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Love mango day and night. All right. And then we got guava as well. That's also another favorite, in-house favorite of ours. My son, he really likes that. And then we got the coconut water, which I think is very good as well. It has like the coconut bits in it and all of that. And so all of these had like the little fruit bits in it as well. So make sure you check that out. So the juices are back, but like I said, it's for a limited time only. And, we do have something going on right now. When you buy 2 of either the coffees that we have or the supplements, you get 10% off. It's 10% off. So those are available right now. And then we got a lot of other stuff on there. So again, make sure you check out our website, which is sambatree.com. It is your natural alternative. Okay. So so that's what we're going to do. And we will be, once again, I'll be adding some more back to the site and all of that. But it's just, I can't only begin to tell you mentally the toll, I'm still working through that. So there's some things I'm getting there. I'm getting back to stuff I was doing, but anyway. So today, what we're going to talk about, we're going to dive right into it today. And as I just said earlier, and big shout out, by the way, to everybody that's in the chat. I just start running my mouth. I ain't give a shout out to everybody. So I appreciate you guys being here as well. Thank you so much. So today, yes, we're going to continue this conversation that we've been having on this platform, talking about the state of what we call today the Black community. Today, I'm just saying Black community is done. It is done. All right. But like I said, again, we're going to dive into exactly what I mean by that. And let me pull that up here, get me to that thing that I wrote earlier today. And because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and I'm being very clear on exactly what I mean when I say the Black community is pretty much done. All right. And when we get through this broadcast, I think many of you will actually agree with what I'm saying here. All right. So let me go ahead and pull this up here, and I'll go ahead and read it for you. Let me get it back on. Let me get this on the screen, and let's go ahead and dive in and let's get to it. Okay. So if you ever, when I'm not doing videos, I love to write. So I do a lot of posts here on what used to be called the community page, but now it's called Post. So so you could check out a lot of things on there. I have cartoons, all kinds of stuff I put on there. So make sure you check that out. But let's go ahead and get into it, and so that we can set the table here and make sure everybody's on the same page. Okay. So anyway, so this is what I said. I said there are things that are happening that are happening that I will not ignore. I say people who follow this platform know that I work pretty hard to keep it optimistic, keep people encouraged, and no matter what, always look for the bright side. As I say repeatedly, I'm really talking to myself most of the time. For whatever reason, at this moment, we have been given ringside seats to observe the self-destruction of what we have been calling the Black community. Now, don't read that as a destruction of Black people. So again, I am not saying the destruction of Black people, that Black people are going to be destroyed and fall off the face of the earth. That is not what I'm saying. What we are addressing in this video is what we are calling or have been calling the Black community. That's what we're addressing here. Okay. And I said, I'm talking about the belief that we have been holding on to, that we can always assume that we can rely on others for support, safety, love, and protection just based on the fact that someone looks like us. All right. And I said, let me triple emphasize what I said here. Because, some people, they hear what they want to hear. While there are still numbers of Black folks out here who do fit inside of the mold of a real functioning community, ultimately, and if we are to be honest, it is not just based on skin tone alone. And let me stop there for a second. As much as I appreciate people who do follow this platform and especially like the fact that there are numbers of people who look like me who do follow this platform, my hope is that that's not the only reason. You understand what I'm saying? I'm hoping I'm bringing a lot more than just my skin, and when I think about you and the people that you associate with, my hope is that likewise that the community that you have around you is not just made up of people who simply look like you, and you're not just basing it off of that. It should be based on things like good character, integrity, honesty, transparency, truthfulness, a commitment to the truth, those kind of things. Those are the kind of people that should be around you, right? And those things do transcend skin color, and so that's the kind of community that we all should have around us. All right. So let me go into this further, okay? And we're going to be looking at some of these stories today, all right? In 1 week's time, I have seen 2 videos of Black granddaughters beating up their grandmothers. Yes, I'm not lying about that. I've seen a report of a Black girl shooting and killing another Black girl who was an employee at McDonald's. Why? Because she accidentally put onions on her burger. I've seen 2 Black mothers fighting each other in front of a school bus door as children watched. I read a story of 3 Black boys who raped a young Black girl. And to keep her quiet, they stuffed her mouth with rocks so that she wouldn't scream. Yes, and we'll show you that story. Thankfully, there's no video. I wouldn't be playing that anyway, but I'll show you the news story on that. A Black man chased, I saw a video this week of a Black man chased down a crossing guard, punched her completely out, and she suffered head injuries and facial injuries. And of course, spring break mess from Houston all the way up and down the southeast coast. And I know many of you, I'm sure by now, have seen many of the videos of the spring break activities happening in towns. More and more people are just saying enough. And of course, when you look at those videos, they're not people from Denmark. I'll just put it, okay. Not the people from Denmark that's causing that problem. Anyway, and then I said, a Black woman gets murdered by her white boyfriend/husband. The comments are usually, see, y'all need to leave these white people alone. But then a Black woman gets the same exact treatment from a Black male, and typically there's silence. Typically there's not big of a deal about that. And I said there are many other things I could mention, and trust me, I am actually doing all of us a favor by not giving you a complete list of the things that I have kind of like categorized, because I kind of, as I come across these stories, I just save them. You know what I mean? Just, they're just there. You know what I mean? And so anyway, and I said, and of course, there will always be those who immediately seek ways to shift blame onto everyone and anything else. They'll say things like, see, you know, bro, you got to understand, see, Black Americans, we don't do that kind of stuff. Or they'll say, you know, it's blame the immigrants. It's the immigrants that do that. You know, you got to check the hairline. You got to check, you know, the last name and who their mama is and all of that. So we will tend to do that now. Is there some truth to that you do have people from other countries that come over here and commit crimes? Absolutely. And do their actions oftentimes get lumped into what Black Americans do? Absolutely, that's true. We've talked about that. But that doesn't eliminate the fact that you do have Black Americans that do these things as well. You understand? And that's what I am focused on. Okay, so before you try to pivot to the Haitians or the Jamaicans or people from Nigeria, this conversation is 1,000% regarding Black Americans. Okay, hopefully, you know, we do have people from these other cultures that maybe they can, there's a thing or two that they can listen to. All is welcome, are welcome in this conversation, but just know that I'm specifically addressing the culture that I grew up in and the people that I know. You know what I mean? That's who I'm addressing. Okay. And then you'll hear other reasons like, well, cities should be better prepared. Prepared for what? If it's your baby going to visit a certain city, why did the whole city got to be prepared for your baby? The whole city got to be prepared for your baby to come and visit? What you, Godzilla or something? What's going on? I'm serious. We up there talking about, well, this, and I've heard people say this. It's like, well, the city got to be prepared. What you going, what says Godzilla coming in? Mothman coming? For what? Anyway, and then they'll say, well, cops are being too aggressive. Well, we've seen enough videos, y'all. There's channels out here that show how simple traffic tickets get elevated, escalated to stuff. Now you got the person being tossed in the back of the cop car simply because they just wouldn't even listen to just basic instructions. I mean, it's just some stupid stuff. Then, of course, we had the religious element of the people that will say, well, the Bible actually said this would kind of happen. And again, this is another pivot to, you know, we just throw our hands up and just say, oh, the hell with it. We don't, it ain't our responsibility because God already said this was going to happen. Okay, but that doesn't mean you just sit back and don't say or do anything. You still got to acknowledge these things and figure out, is there something I could do? And for all of us, there is something we can do. Right. Anyway, I said on this platform, we do our best to address these things we can at least bring about some positive change, like encouraging people to get counseling, improving your diet, and challenging embrace life narratives that have produced little to nothing for us, etc. But ultimately, it is up to the individual. It's up to you. It's up to me. Right. On another front, I see white doctors all over the world who regularly put their own careers on the line to challenge big pharma and big food over how they are poisoning people. Some have even lost their license. And we're going to touch on that a little bit later too. Given the history of these two giants, and I'm talking big pharma and big food, with Black people, given the history of these two giants with Black people for centuries, one would think that there would be many Black doctors challenging these institutions. Outside of just a few, most remain silent. And what I mean by that is, we're beyond just simply telling Black people to stay beyond fried foods. Let me say that again. We're beyond that. We're beyond just simply telling Black people to stay away from fried foods. We need some medical professionals getting out here and saying, you need to stay away from Frito-Lay. Frito-Lay, we're putting you on point. And you're not putting Frito-Lay on trial because they don't have enough black execs. You know, that's usually where it goes. I ain't talking about that. I'm saying we analyze them, every ingredient of the foods that they promote within the black community. We've looked at every dye, we looked at every ingredient, we looked at every filler, and we superimposed it over the physiology of the black body, the bodies that have a lot of melanin. Now, remember, I don't know if I know I've talked a little bit about it on this platform, but I know I've definitely dealt with it over on our Sombertree YouTube page. The physiology of our bodies, it says a lot about the things that our bodies need and the things that our bodies need to stay away from, right? We don't think, a lot of times people don't think about these things. Why is it that we have a brown or black earth suit? What are the things that this earth suit, the specific earth suit needs? There's certain things that people with a white earth suit, there's certain things that they can tolerate. There's certain things that they can consume and eat that we can't do, and vice versa. Again, we're about living an optimum life. So for us, part of that optimum life is there are certain foods that we need to stay all the way from because our bodies, we can't handle it. And one of those things is dairy, and I'll talk on that a little bit too. Where am I? Okay, I continue to bring this point up about black doctors because here we have a tangible opportunity to literally save thousands and thousands of black lives. But instead, we stay stuck at feeling a sense of pride simply because a black face is wearing a white coat, just like the white people. Anyone who can be in a profession, knowing our history, and still refuse to act and to actually do something to call these giants out isn't someone you would want to be in common unity with. And then I went on to say, I said, I'll just close out there. I just said what I said at the end there. But yeah, that's pretty much where we are right now. So I'm going to continue to keep pushing this whole conversation about what black community is, or what is community. Community is what? It's basically common unity. Can we be in common unity with everybody that looks like us? Well, for the longest time, we have told ourselves that that's how we're wired. That's how things are supposed to be. Remember, when someone said that, I'm rooting for everyone black, I can't root for everybody black. I can't do that. You understand what I'm saying? Just like I can't root for everybody white or Asian or Hispanic or whatever. It doesn't matter. I cannot root for everybody because everybody ain't rooting for me. There are people out there that will stab you in your face. Forget your back. They will stab you in your face, in your mouth, in your eye, up your nose, in your forehead. They will stab you and they will destroy you and they will applaud at your downfall. There are people that look like you that are like that. And so these are things that, like I said, again, we cannot overlook these things. So let me go back and I'll just give you just some examples of things that I came across just this week. Now, these are just some stories. Okay, so let me pull this up. This is the one here that, I'm just going to read it here. Like I said, again, thankfully, ain't no video to it, but, we are going to read it. Okay. All right. So here we go. So detective testifies about rape of 12-year-old girl as boys seek release from jail. This came out this week. A Miami police detective on Thursday afternoon recounted how the 12-year-old girl who was allegedly raped by 3 boys, now charged as adults, told him she was pinned down and actually, you got to abbreviate those things, I guess, assaulted at a community garden in Overton. Ironic that they said it was a community garden in Overton. This is down in Florida. Miami area, I believe. The testimony came as Nelson Nunez and Josiah Jones, 12 years old, appeared in court for the second day of their author hearing, which allows judges to consider setting bonds for defendants charged with crimes that aren't normally eligible for bail. Prosecutors are seeking to keep Nunez and Jones behind bars as they await trial, citing the gravity of their charges. Nunez, Jones, and Xavier Tyson, 15, are charged with actually battery, kidnapping, and false imprisonment. Their cases are being handled in adult court before Miami-Dade Circuit Court Judge Richard Hirsch. All 3 boys had pleaded not guilty. The Special Victims Unit detective said the victim was recognized and identified all the boys who were living in the same apartment complex. Before the attack on June 18, 2025, the boys were joking with her, the detective said in his testimony. The girl said that she ended up being dragged into the garden area of the Greenhaven Project community, and they give the address there. And they said the boys then threw her onto a couch, and Tyson and Jones pinned her down by her arms. I know this is rough, y'all, but this is real life. This is what's happening, okay? According to the detective, when she started screaming, Jones stuffed small brown rocks from the ground in her mouth. Jones appeared to tear up as the detective testified. Then Tyson touched her body and Nunez did what he did to her. The detective testified. The girl said that she told the boys to stop and continued screaming, but Jones and Tyson shoved more rocks into her mouth. A 4th boy who was present but didn't participate in the assault said Jones placed the rocks in the girl's mouth after Nunez and Tyson told him to do so, according to the detective. That boy, who hasn't been charged, said he didn't intervene because he was afraid of getting beat up. In a statement a month later, the victim said Nunez and Tyson forced Jones to put the rocks in her mouth by threatening to punch him, the detective testified. The horrifying ordeal lasted about 30 minutes, the girl told police, only ending after the boys ran away when they heard the victim's father calling out her name in the distance. When the girl was reunited with her father, she didn't immediately tell him what had unfolded, the detective says. Can you imagine your father and, and understandably so. I mean, this girl's in shock. I'm just saying. And and as a father, you're finding this out later. I can only imagine the amount of times he must have replayed that moment in his head, When the girl she told the detective she was afraid of getting in trouble for being out so late. The detective acknowledged that there were several inconsistencies in the statements of witnesses, the boys, and the victim. But for the detective, they all pointed to one thing, that Nunez, Jones, and Tyson were involved in the attack. Arguing that Nunez should be released from jail, attorney, and they named the attorney, said that the teen had never been arrested before and had no prior contact with the justice system. He called several of Nunez's loved ones to testify. His age is something special here, the attorney said. Testifying in Spanish, Nelson Nunez Sr. said he and his wife had tried to keep their son out of trouble by scheduling a full program of school followed by 4 hours of basketball and soccer practice. Now, I know, let me just stop right here because we already got, I'm sure some people saying, see, Dwayne, there you go. They were immigrants. No, that's just him. That's one. That has the Spanish. That's one. So don't even go there with that. Okay. Nunes Sr. wiped tears from his eyes as he spoke. He described his son as a follower and said Tyson and Jones are not boys with whom Nunes usually hangs out. Nunes Jr., his father, added, apologized to the victim and demonstrated remorse after the assault. If Nunes is released, Nunes Sr.'s Nunes's mother, Erica, and the other relatives will work together to supervise him around the clock, the boy's parents said in court. The hearing will continue on Monday morning. All right. So again, I just want to stress for some that will try to go there with me and say, see, these are Spanish people. No, it was just that one. The others, no, they were not. From what I could see, they were not. Not with those last names, they weren't. But if you want to go there with me, I can just as easily pull up a dozen stories right now that do involve straight up people who don't speak Spanish. These are just black folks who've been here. I mean, if you want to go there with me, that's a very easy thing to do. Okay, so don't bother nitpicking. Okay, not with me, not on this. But I want to park here for a moment because I know we just heard that. It was very horrific, isn't it? To hear something like that. And like I said, again, that's why I said when I heard this, I needed some time to separate my own feelings and stuff I was going through with from this, because this mic would have been through that wall right now. I'm just trying to tell you, I wasn't ready, but I'm in a much better place now to talk about this. Now, for some of you, you hear that and say, well, see, Dwayne, again, you're just bringing up one story. You're going to say all black people like this. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm going to bring up a few other stories, just very quickly. I'm just going to bring up a few other stories, and we're going to do a comparison. And I'm going to show you just this week, what was the attention drawn to the most? Which stories got the most attention? That's how we're going to look at this, okay? And then let the action speak for itself. But let me just say this before I move on. I don't care what your age is. Okay, I'm speaking as a father. Okay, now I'm speaking as a father, and I'm keeping it 10 million% real here. I don't care what age you are. If I found out that somebody did that to my daughter, there will be no forgiveness. There will be no prayers. And I will make sure that you spend the rest of your known life in prison, period. I will have no mercy when it comes to stuff like that. I don't care. You can't tell me, oh, well, he's just a kid and he's a follower. Well, he can follow his ass right on into prison because that's where he would go. Because that's where he would go. That's it. I have no mercy for stuff like that. When there's little kids like that, when you're doing grown people stuff, you get grown people's penalties, period. Now, if it's some petty crime, like you robbed a store or something like that, that's one thing. Okay. I mean, those certain things you can rehabilitate, I think. You can't rehabilitate that. I'm sorry, that, I don't know if you can rehabilitate that. You can't fix that. You can't, not that. That's some demonic stuff. I mean, for you to actually do something like that. And no, I'm just letting you know where my temperament would be on stuff like that. I don't care where you're from. I don't care where you're from. And and that is the temperament that we need to have when it comes to these types of crimes that happen literally every day. I've read cases where, the guy that did, some horrific things to people. I'm talking about black folks doing stuff on other black folks. And then most of the courtroom is full of his people that are out here saying, yeah, baby, we got you. Yeah, they ain't gonna do nothing to you and all this stuff. And they're defending him and trying to make like he's the superstar. Meanwhile, the person that's been assaulted, they're sitting up here hearing this stuff. I'm trying to tell you this kind of stuff happens every day. This ain't just me just nitpicking. This just so happens to be a story that just happened to come out. Okay, that's somewhat national news, but not really, because I hear too many people talking about that story. All right, let's move on to this other one here. Let's see. This one here. This was Twitter's always doing Twitter. I'll just tell you because I'm just gonna run through, because I like I said again, I ain't trying to go through too much here. There was a story that came out of, where was it? Shoot. Hold on, y'all. I'm coming. Oh, that's what it was. I was trying to remember it because, Twitter's doing Twitter. But basically, there was another story that came out where a girl went to McDonald's. She went to McDonald's. I was looking for it. It was a video that someone, and I'm trying to see if I can find it while I'm talking to you. But I could just tell you, basically, a black girl went to McDonald's. McDonald's put onion on her burger. I guess she said, no, I don't want onions on my burger. Well, McDonald's accidentally or whatever, they put onions on her burger. Girl basically, long story short, killed the McDonald's employee. Killed him. Young girl. I ain't talking about some old woman or whatever. I'm talking a young girl, and I'm trying to find a video right now. Killed the other girl. And when the cops came, approached the girl to say, basically to confront her so that she could be arrested, of course, they just blamed everybody else. Everything else got blamed. Here it is right here. Here it is. I found it. Everything else got blamed. But it's, again, it's never anybody. It's always someone else's fault. It's right here. Let's get right here. Let's play this video here. Am I looking at it right? Okay, here we go. Sorry, y'all. Here we go.
Everybody always in the car. All right, she is the team. She is not free to go. Hey, chill out. Stop arguing.
No, the lady hit my sister. Her lady first.
No, I want to bitch and believe you. I said I wanted to bitch and believe you, but listen to what she was saying. She said, wait a minute.
No, nobody came behind the counter. Nobody went outside. Look at the cameras. Nobody went behind the camera. Nobody went behind the camera. Where's our camera?
Put on the bottom of the car.
Do it. Y'all don't run the camera. No, right? Yeah, y'all got to. It don't matter that whole hit me. It don't matter that she's not me. That she's not me. That she's not me. What you mean? I was trying to confuse this lady with mine.
I can't take it. I can't take it. I don't want y'all to go through that either. But this plays out all the time. It plays out all the time. So note the impulse control. What I'm noticing as I see a lot of these stories, and like I said again, please stay with me to the end of this broadcast, because I'm going to tell you some of the contributing factors to this and how we can fix it. Okay. But when certain things aren't in place in a person's life, it has a direct impact on your impulse control, on how you react to things. You know what I'm saying? Like if your diet is off, this ain't just, and I'm not just talking like your daddy's first got to be home. We're beyond that right now. Okay, we're beyond that right now. Now there are other things that we can focus on that can bring some stabilization to people, even how they just flip. You know what I mean? Many of us have seen a lot of these videos where the cop is just simply saying, hey, listen, you were going 50 miles an hour in a 24-mile-an-hour zone. And then the woman just starts arguing with the cop. And then next thing you know, she being dragged into prison. It's just, you're just going off. It's directly tied to an imbalance in the minds of a lot of people. And we're going to talk about it. Okay, we're going to talk about it and how it can be addressed and how it can be fixed, right? That's what we do here. But this girl and her friends saw it, this is something to be argued, that you literally just killed somebody because they put onions on your burger. Like, okay, I'm going to argue about that. If I did something like that, I would be like, okay, where's the prison? I mean, you just take, let's just spare going to court. Whatever the penalty is, I know I have to pay it. So if it's going to be 40 years of life or whatever it is, just give me my orange suit and I just go in there. I ain't going to, ain't nothing to argue about. There's nothing to argue about. But these girls feel like this is something that they have to argue about. You literally ended somebody's life who looked like you because they put onions on your burger. Now, you may say, again, and I have to go back again, some of you may say, well, Dwayne, again, you're just pulling these, just 1 and 2 stories. Yes, because if I were to pull out the whole file that I have of stories that just happened this week, it would overtake you. And these are stories that we know about. This stuff happens every day. Let's move on. And what was the other story here? This one here. This was another story here. We had. There was and I'll just tell you about this because these are videos. I know I can't. There's some things I can't show because even YouTube got standards and say, nah, we can't. Those are fighting videos. You can't show that. But it was 2 black mothers at a school bus stop. Right? The school bus stopped and the doors open. You got these, kids coming out and all of that. And they started arguing for some reason. The 2 mothers start arguing. Next thing you know, they start throwing blows and people coming from all over trying to break them up and they getting hurt in the process. And, I saw this and I just like, man, this is crazy. And then, of course, you got the videos you've seen. Many of you have seen the videos of, all the spring breaks are going on in Houston. There's a lot of crazy stuff that was going on. This goes all the way back to Freaknik. I actually sat my daughter down. I was giving her a little history of how all this stuff evolved. It's really coming from my generation, really. There was stuff that happened in previous generations, but Freaknik really, unfortunately, it did set the bar. I was in Atlanta during Freaknik, and I saw the mess that was going on. I was there when they shut down 285 and it was one big parking lot. I had friends of mine who was stuck there and literally saw black folks having full sex on top of the cars. So if they were doing that then, what do you think they're doing now? What do you think the children are doing? Well, we're finding that out right now. Anyway, let's see. It was another one here. Put onions, black girl, employee, McDonald's. The crossing guard one. Okay. Then I had, there's 2 more just very quickly. I'll just go through it. Excuse me. This right here, I can only play. I'm just going to show you. It's going to be a quick zip. But I have to show you this so you can really understand how serious this is. This is one of the videos I saw. This is a young girl who, according to this, she went to go visit her grandmother. And let me make sure the volume's turned down. She went to go visit her grandmother, and this is what turned out. And this is how that turned out. Hold on, I'm trying to get the thing to play. Hold on. Okay, so you saw that, right? And it gets worse, y'all. It gets worse. And then I have another one here of another situation very similar to that as soon as I can find it. If I can't find it, I'll just tell you about it. But yeah, there was another video of where the granddaughter, she was throwing blows just like that to her grandmother. And see, the thing is that these children now, they are filming these things. These black girls are filming these things and they are uploading it onto social media like it's some kind to get likes. You literally are trying to get likes to show the world how much you hate your grandmother. And we don't see anything wrong. But the moment you bring that up to people, the moment we mention these things and we're trying to have a conversation about it, we immediately try to find ways to pivot away from it. This stuff happens all the time, all the time. Here's another story here. Someone posted that this happened down in Louisiana. Little boy here, an 8-year-old boy. He got caught up and is killed by stray bullets by these 3 black boys, basically, in men's bodies. Folks, the reason why I'm bringing up these stories is because most of the black platforms that you may watch or follow or listen to, they won't bring them up at all. But if any of these stories involve some white person doing something to any of these children, if any of these stories involve some old white man, coming, talking disrespectful to, a black child or whatever, we would have it on every platform. You would see politicians, you will see Congress people, you will see entertainers talking about it. Go back to the story that I just talked about with the young girl that got raped and they stuffing rocks in her mouth. Go back to that story. How many people, how many artists, how many politicians, how many people how many black platforms, and we can call them all out. Tariq Nasheed, Professor Black Truth, Black Authority, name them. Go all the way down. Boyce Watkins, whoever it is, call them out. Name them right now. How many of these platforms even use one bit of their breath to even bring up these stories that I'm bringing up right now? One bit. One bit. We'll talk about some of these people that, who allegedly, was murdered by a cop, and we'll paint murals and they'll wear pins to the Academy Awards. Remember this girl, remember the immigrants. I hold all of these Negroes accountable for that. These Negroes will go to the Academy Awards and they will wear pins to remember the immigrant, but you got black girls that are getting this kind of treatment out here today, and nobody will say a doggone thing about it. Nothing. And you call that community? That's love to you? Oh, I just love my people. But you won't even say that. You won't even acknowledge this. And if someone like me, I acknowledge it. Oh, you're just beating up on black people. What that really says is you want to keep it insulated. You want to keep it protected. You want to keep it, hey, that's in-house information. Brother, we don't have to talk about that in the open. Man, go to hell. How about that? When you got little children that are getting murdered by stray bullets, people that just want to have a good time, they're going to a park. You can't even go to a park in some of these areas unless you ducking and diving bullets because 2 Negroes can't get it together. They can't figure out how to sit down and have a conversation. And we just simply hey, that's just in-house stuff. And, okay, if that's in-house stuff, then what that means is I'm in the wrong house. Did you ever think of that? Because in my house here, ain't nobody shooting each other. Okay? I'm in the wrong house. If that's considered in-house stuff, that's not the house I need to be in. Because we don't shoot each other up in this house. If we do have a disagreement in our house, we sit down and we talk it through. But so that is how I see community. Do you understand what I'm saying? It has to first be modeled out in my home. And so when I go out into the bigger world, if people fall within that range that we've established in our home, then I'm saying, oh, maybe you could be part of my little community too, or whatever. I ain't saying clique. I'm just saying somebody that I could probably depend on or rely on, that kind of thing, right? You're a candidate, but it takes years and years to build up trust. You know what I mean? Trust ain't something you just acquire overnight. There's some people I've known for maybe a couple of years. I'm still, like at a distance. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm still asking questions sometimes. It's not, and trust me, it ain't like I'm like got my eye on them and all. No, it's not like that. It's just I've learned over the years. It's okay not to be relaxed every time. You know what I'm saying? And some people may call it paranoia. I'm not really paranoid, but I just am very mindful of the things I share and talk about, depending on who I'm talking to. I could tell you right now, there's a lot of things I could share about a lot of people right now, but I don't. You know what I mean? I don't do that. You know what I mean? Out of respect for them, and just I just don't do that kind of stuff. But this is what we've been including as community. We've been saying all of this foolishness is community. A couple more things here. We mentioned, of course, we talked about the the spring break stuff that was going on here. This black man, he went to a okay. Let me play this for you. Now, this is a black guy who did a skit. Now check out this skit here. Let me play this skit for you. Very interesting. He did a short skit. I want you to watch. I want you to listen to this skit. Okay. Let me play this skit for you.
Hi. Can I just get a 3-piece spicy with the mac and cheese inside?
Yes, sir. Is that gonna be all for you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, it'll be $13.57.
Thank you.
No problem. Sir, your food?
Huh?
Yeah, your food's ready to go.
It's ready.
Yes, sir. Hot and fresh.
Thank you. Can I get buffalo sauce?
Of course. Here you go.
You're just gonna give it to me? You're not gonna charge me $2 or threaten to beat me up outside?
No, of course not. Why would we do that?
Thank you.
No problem. Hey, sir.
Huh?
Have a great day.
You have a great day.
Now, I saw that, and of course, you look at it, it's funny and all that stuff. But I watched that and I said, wow. What's sad is that we can make a skit about it, but if we were to sit down and actually talk about that dynamic that he described, then now all of a sudden you're beating up on black people. But what he described is something that is a reality that everybody in the room knows. You go someplace, if you're going to go to Chick-fil-A, you make sure you go to the one on this side of town, because if you go to the one on that side of town, you know what you're going to get. We know this. Does that sound like community to you? Does that sound like a place of safety and warmth, and you're going to be okay, and you're going to get the best of care and all of that? Does that sound like community to you? Or we could talk about, many of us have relatives that are in these retirement homes, nursing homes, that kind of thing. Oh, I could share with you stories of some of these nursing homes that are they've been getting exposed, and because it's really happening right now. I mean, if you are a scammer and you're doing these nursing homes, bro, it's wake up call now. I mean, it's a lot of people getting exposed on this stuff. But anyway, there have been story after story after story over the years of black-run nursing homes where patients have been getting the worst of care, been getting mistreated, having stuff taken from them. Some of them have even been assaulted, sexually assaulted. Does that sound like community to you? Does that sound like, yeah, I'm rooting for everyone black? Do you still root for everybody black even with that? Do you find someone to kind of shift the blame to? These are things, again, I want you to really start thinking about. That doesn't sound like a community I want to be associated with. Now, am I saying am I saying that we should, abandon black people? Because some people will hear what I'm saying and think that I am accusing all black people of being like this. Again, if you're just coming in, that is not what I'm doing at all. What I am doing is challenging you to get out of this groupthink mindset, believing that you can just let your guard down simply because everybody looks like you. You can't do that. And we have to break out of this mindset believing that just because we all look alike, we're all community. That's not true. Because what we've been calling community has been very self-destructive. There's another video. I'll just skip that because for the sake of time, because I want to keep this moving. Ruth Chris Steakhouse. Now, I can't recall when the last time I've been to Ruth Chris Steakhouse. I don't think I've ever been to Ruth Chris Steakhouse now I think about it. But anyway, so I could not tell you the ambiance in a Ruth Chris Steakhouse. From what I'm gathering, it's above. It's not like a McDonald's, okay? It's not like that. It's a little bit above. It sounds like it's something a little more classy than Applebee's. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like to me. Again, I can't speak on that because I've never even darkened the door on one. But anyway, it was a black guy actually who went into a Ruth Chris Steakhouse. And he was like, I'm getting tired of this. Every time I come in here, it's like a club. You got people coming in here, they're loud, they wearing, clothes all sagging down, just the usual stuff. And he voiced that complaint on social media. Well, don't you know, Ruth Chris Steakhouse said, you know what, you're right. I'm glad you said something. So from now on, across the board, we are going to raise our own standard. And we're going to say, from now on, we're going to implement a dress code. A dress code. So now you got Ruth Chris Steakhouse saying they are doing a whole dress code. Why? Because a certain group of people that come in just do what they do. Applebee's, it was something that happened with Applebee's. It was a lady that went in, and you know how they say all you can eat? These are videos. I'm just trying to spare y'all some of these videos I have because I can play them, but whatever. I just have to tell you. Anyway, you know how they say all you can eat? Okay, you and I, we know that if I went to an Applebee's and they say all you can eat, I'm thinking it's just for me, right? So if it's $24 and they say all you can eat, that's per person. That's what I'm thinking. Well, of course, she didn't think that way. She thought it's all you can eat for everybody. So she paid her $24, whatever it was, and then she brought everybody, her friends and cousins and everybody else. And on that, and she believed that $24.99 covered anybody that she wanted to bring in. Well, it escalated. The cops got involved. It was just the same story over and over again. So I could go through this all day. All right, so let's move away from that for a moment. Let's move away from some of that. Then we could talk about this because now it's, again, we're talking about in community. What is the foundation of any community? I think it should be love, right? So I've already given you a bunch of examples there where that's clearly not love, right? Well, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about, something that I've been on, and that is, this whole thing with black doctors. Again, and let me just start off from the top. Do I believe all doctors fit this profile that I'm about to describe? No, there are some good black doctors out there who are calling out this nonsense, who really do truly have a genuine love for the people that they say that they really are there to serve, right? That's there are some out there. So we're going to acknowledge those folks, okay? There are people out there that are like that. However, we do have to also acknowledge the bulk of them who don't fall into that category. When we look at our history, when we look at the history of this country, we look at specifically the medical history of this country and how from day one, how they treated black people and how the bodies of black individuals, both living and dead, were used as experimental tools, if you will, to create a lot of these pharmaceuticals and things like that, the torture and all the kind of things they did that translated into medical procedures using black bodies, all of that stuff. The foundation of that is the bottom, if you will, is what the medical industry as we know it today, it sits on that as the foundation. To this very day, the medical industry, because they haven't really been called on the carpet for those kind of things, they feel like they can continue to do all kinds of other experimentations. They go to continents like Africa where they believe that it's just, hey, we're going to go to this country and we got a new product out. There's a tribe over here. Let's test it out on them and see what happens. So they do these things and there's no consequence. They just feel like they could just do this stuff on black folks, on black bodies, and there's no consequence. Let me ask you something. And I'm saying this especially for my older listeners, or listeners my age, or even listeners younger than me. Now, for some of you, you have been taking pills for your high blood pressure or your diabetes for years. For years, you've been taking this. Let me tell you, let me say something to you. Those two things that I just mentioned, diabetes or high blood pressure, that's just two things. But there's many other diseases and stuff that we can go through too. You should not be taking, if you're taking stuff for years and you're still dealing with it, you're being scammed. Let me say that again. If you're taking stuff for years and you're still, the condition is still the same, and what's happened is you've adopted this mindset where this is just the new life that I have to have, for the rest of my life, I have to take these pills. Tell them doctors to go to hell. Okay. I've been sending a lot of people down there because listen, some of these people, they need to go. They need to go for what they've been doing to people like you, good people like you, good people like your relatives, your loved ones. They've been doing this stuff. There are people who've been taking these pills for 20 years, 30 years plus years and think that this is normal. That is not normal. It's not normal for you to be taking something to take care of some sickness or disease. When you pivot, when you're taking natural things, natural herbs and things like that, do you understand these things address those things immediately? Immediately. And I'm not just saying drink some soursop juice. I'm not just saying that. You got to change your diet. You got to change your activities and all that in conjunction with you taking those and, adding those natural things in your life. And when you add those natural things in your life, you're not taking them forever. There are people I know that have dealt with some of these illnesses, and they take it, they've made the changes and they've taken some herbs or whatever it is and give it about a year, maybe a little bit more, whatever. They're done. They'll take it, but they don't need to take it like every day. You understand what I'm saying? So anybody that's out here and you're taking stuff, it's 20 years deep, 30 years deep, even 10 years deep, and the condition is still there, they're scamming you. You are being scammed. And what I've been sharing in these videos I've been doing lately, talking about this stuff, you have these black doctors who are in the industry who are doing the same thing these other doctors have been doing the same thing. They give you the same pills and keep telling you better make sure you take your pill. Are you taking your high blood pressure pills? You taking your such and such pills? You still taking it? And they'll just keep giving it to you over and over and over again. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years deep in it, and the condition is still the same. It's still the exact same. That's not normal. And like I said again, let me be the voice to tell you that, okay? Let me be the voice to tell you that is not normal. That's not normal. When you look at your ancestors, they will look at some of these diseases. They're like, oh, child, please. Go on out there in the backyard. There's a leaf that looks like this. It looks like a hand. I want you to grab that leaf and I want you to grab this berry or whatever and give it to me. I'm going to make something for you or whatever and give it about a couple of months and you're going to be fine. That is normal. That's what normal looks like. Not 20, 30 years. The pharmaceutical industry, they are about one thing, keeping you sick. That's what they're about. They are about keeping you sick and keeping you a permanent patient. That's what they're about. And so they have no interest in healing you because once you get fully healed, then they're not making any money. It's the same thing with the insurance companies. All of it is a scam. When I tell you, don't even mention the word insurance to me. Do not mention the word insurance to me because I get plenty pissed off at that. I don't know. Some of y'all, maybe you've going through this in your state. I know I went through this in New Jersey, and they're trying to do the same thing here in Arizona with us. But for some, you may be used to this. I ain't used to it. I ain't gonna get used to it. But let me share you a quick story. Now, this is car insurance. Now, I'm looking at my lighting here. Anyway, so car insurance. Now, I got grown kids. Well, we all live together. Everybody's fine. They got she got, daughter, she got her vehicle. My son, he's got his vehicle, whatever, right? But, after a while, they was like, okay, I'm going to get my own insurance. I was like, okay, cool, So she got her own insurance. No, back up. I'll give you that second part of the story in a moment. The first part of the story, let me take you back to New Jersey. So I'm in New Jersey, right? And I get my insurance, and I'm like, wait a minute, why is everybody... Why my kid's name on here? They're not even and at that time they had like their, what you call it, it was like your student drivers thing. So they weren't like full drivers yet, but their names was on our insurance. And I was like, I don't think they're supposed to be on insurance yet. So anyway, I find out there's some law that basically says that if you are an adult, even if they're not covered under your insurance by law, they still have to be on your insurance. And they'll say, well, you don't pay, you're not really in New Jersey at that time. They were like, well, you don't have to pay for it, but we still have to add them to your insurance. I was like, what? And so whoever it was, my mom knew him. It was like the insurance representative. I forgot what, I think it was Allstate. I don't know what it was. It happened to be a black woman, and she was very helpful. And I told her, I was not happy about it, but I always try to keep it respectful and all that. And I told her, I explained her, and she was like, yeah, someone said permit. Yeah. And so anyway, so she was like, you know what? I understand what you're saying. And she went back, she did something. Next thing you know, she said, I took care of it. I took your name off, but she said, I'm just telling you, but that's what they're doing these days. So I was like, dang. I was like, why are they doing? So anyway, fast forward, what was it last week before, whatever? My daughter tells me, she was like, she showed me her insurance. She was like, yeah, they put your name on my insurance. I was like, what? I said, here we go again. And she said, yeah, they're making me pay like $4 so that you can be, because y'all have to be. I was like, what? So she's looking for another insurance right now. I don't know if she's going to be able to get. So in this state in Arizona, they make you pay, but legally I can't drive her car. It's a scam. Now that's auto insurance. We could talk about health insurance. Now, when you get in health insurance, that's a whole nother thing where they tell you, if there's a doctor that is providing a certain, whatever it is, procedure or whatever, that can really help you, the insurance companies can stand in your way and say, no, he or she, they are not under our plan. So you can't go to that doctor. You need to go to this doctor. Let me turn my light up here. I'm looking darker here. I love my dark skin, but I'm just saying. Here we go. All right, that's a little bit better. Okay. But yeah, that's what they tell you. You can't go to this doctor, but you have to go to this doctor here. Well, why can't I go to that doctor? Because I've been reading up on this doctor and he's pretty good. And I've been looking at his stuff. I've had conversations with this doctor and he's shown me his success rate and all of this stuff. And he's doing this, that, or whatever. The insurance company will say, well, no, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't. You have to go to this doctor here down the street. Well, I know about that doctor there. He sucked. And, if it's a dentist or something, I don't like going to that. I don't want to go to that dentist because everybody I see coming down his office, his teeth all busted up, looking like jack-o'-lanterns and all of that. I know, but that's who we cover. Do you see what I'm saying? And so the mindset and like I said, bless the hearts of our, a lot of our people you poured your heart and soul into companies for years so that you can have your health insurance coverage. You know what I mean? So that's one less thing you have to worry about. I get that completely. But what's the unfortunate side of it is that they still keep you boxed in if you want optimum health care. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a scam and that's wrong. But when we look at the many of people who look like us who are in that system, they play right along with it. They don't call the stuff out. They don't call the BS out. They just go right along with it. And so the same pills that Mr. Charlie will give you are the same exact pills that Mr. Jackson is going to give you. It's the same thing. They're not going to give you anything different. They're not going to go past what the pharmaceutical companies are paying them to say. In most cases, they won't. So when you think about our history as a people and everything that we've gone through, one would think that black folks, man, we would be the loudest ones in there, like, oh no, we ain't doing this. You would think that. I showed you, there's a list that I showed y'all in I don't know what broadcast it was. It was a recent one. But there's so many more. I could point to you, there are numbers of non-black doctors, mostly white, all over the world, who are literally putting their whole careers on the line because they are exposing what these pharmaceutical companies, the stuff that they're actually putting into these vaccines. They're exposing this stuff. And they're also doing their own studies. They're doing their own research. They're putting together their own money to put this stuff out. There's some of these doctors or medical professionals, they actually started their own podcast to educate people to say, hey, listen, this is what's really going on. Let me give you the inside scoop. Let me tell you what these pharmaceutical companies are really doing and all of that. How many? Now, there's some out there. There's some black folks out there that do put in that work. And I follow some of them. But the overwhelming majority, they're not doing that. Howard University, these big medical schools, they should be the forerunners in calling these people out, but they will never be that. Why? Because they get millions and millions and millions of dollars from these pharmaceutical companies. So they'll never do that. They'll never do that. They will never call these people out. So that means you're going to get the same type of care that you're going to get from anywhere else, the same system. They just put it in blackface. It's the same stuff, same medication, the same type of treatment to keep you coming back for more and more and more, to keep you as a permanent patient. So if you know this stuff, but yet you don't say anything or you're not challenging it, is that love? Is that community? You call that community? That's community to you? That's something you want to be in common union with? People who have the ability, and I was just sharing with my wife earlier. I said, if black people, particularly in the medical field, if they were to start calling out these pharmaceutical companies, because like I mentioned, there's a lot of white doctors out there, bro. There's a lot of white doctors out there. They are calling these pharmaceutical people out. Some of them being brought into court, the whole nine. I mean, they're putting it all out there. I remember one, he was in Germany or something like that. Dude is doing a podcast and he's up here pleading with people and he's had blueprints or whatever and telling you this is what they're putting in. And as he's talking, you could see in the back them knocking down his door, the police coming in and dragging him out. That's how committed he was to his people to tell them the truth. And I keep harping on this point because when I talk about low-hanging fruit, this is low-hanging fruit that could save thousands and thousands of lives. But it's quite clear that these individuals, at the end of the day, they don't care. They don't. They really don't. But we're to be made to think that they do care and to be proud of the fact that they're just, they're making their mark in them. No, you're not. You're just an employee of the pharmaceutical. Same thing with big food. That's what I wanted to talk about briefly here. Very quick here. Same thing. We can call out the pharmaceutical companies, but we also need to call out a lot of these big food manufacturers. There are certain things, and I've mentioned this earlier, and I'll just mention it again for the sake of people who may have just come in the room, and if you have, welcome. But when we look at the physiology of black bodies or white bodies or Asian bodies or Hispanic bodies, it doesn't matter. Pay attention to everything. Pay attention to your eyes, the size of your eyes, hair patterns, the hair texture, your nose size, the size of your lips, right? Your body mass, right? And, muscular mass. Of course, the amount of melanin you have in your skin. Like I said, think of yourself as a car, for example. The way you properly maintain a Mercedes Benz isn't the same way you properly maintain a Jeep. They both require specific types of maintenance, right? And care. Well, the human body is no different. So when you look at a white person's body versus a black person's body, the type of care that those bodies require are going to vary. Now, people will say, well, at the end of the day, we're all human. Yeah, that's true. I would probably argue that because some of these people aren't human. I'm just saying. But anyway, you can, for now, for this sake of argument, yeah, people are human, right? But there are specific things that we need, that our bodies need more of than someone that's white. For example, like I said, the easiest thing is sunlight. Our bodies require sunlight. Every time you see this melanin, what this melanin says is you are a sun person, meaning that you need to be out in the sun as often, safely, but as often as possible, because you need sun. You need maximum sun on your skin. Like I said, safely. And no, people say, well, we do need sunblock. No, you don't. Sunblock in of itself, do the research. Now, it depends. It depends now. Now, if you have a lot less sunblock, melanin than I do, and you're going to be out in the sun, yeah, you could get some sunblock. Absolutely. Like someone like my wife, for example, she's lighter than me. She ain't white. It ain't like that. But for her, for example, she doesn't need as much sunlight as I do. Right? But if she was going to be outside all day, then there's some things that you can get, some natural things you can get that can act as a sunblock, but it's natural, right? Don't get that thing with the little naked white girl on there with her butt cheek hanging out. Don't get whatever that's called. Copper tone. Don't get that. Okay. These folks, they always got little kids involved. Why they always got to get naked little kids involved? Anyway, you think about that now, how we normalize that. She up there like this and showing a little, but why do we need to see that? Anyway, so, but yeah, so think about that. So there are natural ways you could do it. But for the most part, yeah, if you have melanin like I do, no, we need sun. We do. And so, but you have a lot of black doctors that won't really emphasize that. They won't tell you that. You understand? Why is that? Why is that? So anyway, and then like I said, the same thing goes with big food. Now you will have doctors that will sit up here and tell you, oh, okay, stay away from fried foods and all of that. But we need, no, it's got to be more specific than that. We need to start calling out these companies. Frito-Lay, some of these other ones out here, Coca-Cola. We need to start calling out there, whoever makes Hawaiian Punch. Hawaiian Punch has like red dye, I think number 40 or whatever in it. We got to call out, some dairy, for example. I looked into dairy. Our bodies, the way our bodies are designed in such a way, it was, this is a while back. I need to pull that up and make that into a separate video. But they talked about people in Europe, how their bodies, the way it is, they can easily digest dairy a lot better than people from the continent, from African continent. And they broke it all down. Again, it's not saying that one is better than the other or one is stronger than the other. That's not it at all. It's just we're different. There's little areas where we're different, but we don't really think about those things, right? We don't think about those things at all. We just say one size fit all. That's not true. We don't need to be drinking cow's milk. You know what I mean? We don't need to be drinking animal's milk. I know that there are some cultures in Africa where they do, but we don't need to be drinking that. Okay? Especially if it's been processed and all of that stuff. We don't need to be drinking that. There's certain things we need to stay away from. Soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil. I know some of these things is hard to avoid because it's in pretty much everything, but high fructose corn syrup. I want to do a breakdown and I start showing you some of these products, you know, and by name, and say, you need to stay away from all of their food, or you need to stay away from all these food. So that's going to take me a moment to put that together, and that'll be available on Samba Tree. But we need to start putting together stuff like that so that people know to stay away from them, period. Don't even bother. Dextrose, maltose, sucrose. There are numbers of things. And of course, you know, anything that has high in sugar and salts and things like that, of course, those are things we need to stay away from. But like I said, there are some of these things, they have more of an impact on people who have a lot of melanin in their skin. Salt sensitivity, our sensitivity to salt is different than other groups. And how is this tied in, you know, to the stuff that we was talking about earlier? Many of these things I just mentioned to you, they are directly tied to the gut. And when your gut environment is off balance, it has a direct impact on how you process things. So when we hear these stories about these kids just making these very bad decisions, you know, being very violent and doing all kinds of crazy things, all you got to do is look at the diet. And when you look at the diet, you'll see a lot of times it's very high in salt, very high in sugar. It's very imbalanced. And when this gets your gut, the gut environment, if that is off, this is off. And a lot of these kids aren't getting a good, well-balanced meals at home. Of course, we could talk about the missing parent and all that other stuff. We could talk about that. But these are things that it's a lot easier for us to reach out and adjust and to fix. And that's why we have Samba Tree, because these are the things that we stay on and talk about and say, this is important stuff. I said, we can get on to this. There's a lot of things we can solve right now. So when I see a lot of these crazy stories out there, of course, I'm thinking there's a lot of stuff there that's, you know, we need to address, but we can at least address this kind of stuff here. And I'm telling you, a lot of it does tie to foods and stuff that we eat, the stuff that we consume and all of that. It has a serious weight on the poor decisions, how people just go off. Real quick, I'll just mention this to you, just really getting into, because we're going to be diving into this deeper. I'm really interested in how our bodies are made. Yesterday, I was really struck with this thought about voices, not voices in my head. Of course, I'm not talking about that, but different tones of voices. I said, why is it that some voices can be very calming and others are not? And just delving into that. And what I heard was, what I was reading when I was researching, one of the things that came up, they said people who have deeper voices, people who tend to have deeper voices and tend to speak in very calm tones, they said they tend to they have the ability to keep other people calm. People, they latch on to that. They hear your voice and they're like, man, okay, I feel calm. I feel peaceful. You know, I feel like I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean? There's an authority that's in there. And I'm saying that especially for black men. Black men, we're known for our voice. We're known for that. We're known to be able to give a sense of calm. And I will even say that for black women as well. There's something that's very unique about a black woman's voice. There's something very unique about white voices and other voices too. But even the science and understanding that, it tells us why we're here. See, what I believe is this, and I'm going to say this, I've said this, I've touched on this before, but I'm going to keep on going here with this. See, there's a certain group of people that I'm not going to mention, but I think y'all going to know who I'm talking about. But I truly believe that these people, their role and their purpose is to bring about evil on the earth. Okay. That is their assignment. I believe that they are the personification of evil. On the flip, I say to myself, I look at this and I say, if they're the personification of evil, then who is the personification of good? In other words, who are the people that are supposed to bring about peace? Who are the people who are supposed to be in tune with nature and protectors of nature? Who are the people that are supposed to bring about that kind of thing? So I start looking at different things. I'm just always asking questions. Now, again, we've attributed the wild, we talked about the wild behavior that we see in numbers, unfortunately, of black folks, right? That we see, right? And like I said, there are things that we can fix, but we will also acknowledge there are other hidden hands that are involved that kind of push this stuff along, right? And when we look at this and at those hidden hands, a lot of times, they are very specific in how they do things. When I would look at, when it goes back to hip hop. When we're talking about hip hop, for example, many of you are my age, or maybe not, maybe a little bit younger than me, maybe a little bit older than me. Hip hop, when hip hop was first becoming a thing. Now, don't y'all remember how that was it was just so high love. I mean, it was just like, it was fun. It was relaxing. We just chilling. It was just fun, right? We didn't have to worry about nothing. It was just, man, we just getting it in, right? It was just fun. You didn't have to worry about nothing. Nobody was getting killed, nothing like that, right? Remember that? I can also point to jazz. I can point to blues music. Many of the music styles that we've come up with as black folks, they always started off that. They gave us a sense of peace. They gave us a sense of calm. But not only that, it was so much that you had white people sneaking in and like, let me get some of that, because we ain't getting that where we come from. So a lot of times they would come to the black folks, and this is even during slavery. Now, they're beating the heck out of us, right, in the field. And then after they finish beating us up, then they say, sing me a song. Sing me a song to calm me down. I mean, think about this for a second. Sing me a song to calm me down after I done beat you up. Folks, what I'm saying is, don't overlook those things. Don't overlook that. That's a sign. That's a telltale sign that that's something you need to bookmark that. There was something that we have, abilities that we have that a lot of people just don't have. But what happened? Those evil people, those people who are committed to evil, they took our stuff, and next thing you know, what was very calm and peaceful, now all of a sudden you got people out here talking about WAP and all of this other stuff, and then turned something that was meant to be peaceful and calm and relaxing and encouraging. Now all of a sudden it's something all different in it. So I'm going to tell you, I truly believe that black folks, our original design, we are supposed to be the peacemakers. I believe that. I truly believe that. We are supposed to be the ones that are most in tune with nature. And the reason why I believe that is because it's the opposite. We're seeing the opposite right now at a huge scale. And it's like people are being driven to be the opposite of peace. We're supposed to be guardians, isn't it? I don't take anything for granted, y'all. I don't take anything as a coincidence. I mean, you can go to the whitest of white, important people in this world. More often than not, you look at their security detail. Who do you see? Black folks, black men. When I go to the mall, a lot of times, many of you go to the mall, you go to some of these places in security. Who's doing security most of the time? Black folks. There is something in you where you are supposed to be operating as a guardian. But it's gotten lost and mixed up in this system, and it's gotten you thinking that well, I'm just being a security guard because that's what's I could, it's the easiest job I can get or whatever. And look, I'm saying that I've done security for years, so I ain't cracking on security folks. Okay, definitely not. What I'm saying is that we think this system got it twisted in our heads, making us think that it's just a job, but it's more than that, because the reality is when you step back and think of it, when you think about it, that's what we've known for. We're known for protection. When you go through our history, we're known for protection. We're known for bringing authority, bringing order. I shared with you the story about the Black Panther movement and how that really got started on white college campuses, and didn't get started on white college campuses, but when they start making their presence known on white college campuses, there's a video I could show you right now where the guy said that the white student movements during the 60s, they were very scattered. He said, we were very scattered. We were just very disorderly and all that stuff. He said, but when we saw the Black Panthers come on the scene, he said, we saw the order that they brought. And he said, it made us straighten up. See, this is what we're talking about. This is really what this is about, what we're really driving to on this platform. But you're not going to be able to get to that if you're still assuming that everyone that looks like you is a community that you should be a part of. You're not going to be able to get to that with these idiots and fools that are running around doing all this crazy stuff, taking out our 8-year-olds and raping our little girls and boys and stuff like that. You ain't going to be able to get to that point until you start really beginning to be vocal and separating yourself from these people and calling out the ones who are in a position to call this stuff out, but they don't call it out. You call their asses out too, because I'm telling you, you can listen to what's her name, Jasmine Crockett and all of that. She can get up there waving her nails and talking about, yeah, we got money for all these wars, but we ain't got money to feed the poor and all that. Okay, that sounds good, but I just saw you in an interview where they asked you, okay, why are you co-signing on Israel? Why is it that you co-signing on Israel and sending money to them? Well, what you see, Israel's our greatest ally, and we got to make sure we're taking care of our greatest ally and all that stuff. And see, listen, I don't care about the whole Gaza thing. I ain't talking about that. As a black person, let me help you out. It's not about Gaza for us. Do you understand that most police departments here in the United States are trained by Israel? Do you understand that? The very police departments that we complain about, they send people to Israel to get trained by them. We should be very concerned about funding going to Israel. You may not care about Gaza. Okay, that may not be a thing. That's still horrible. I'm not discounting that. But what I'm saying is that you want to know if you want a connection, that's your connection right here. And I looked at every senator. There's a total right now of 5 senators. 4 of them are Democrats. 1 is white. Tim Scott, he's the Republican, but there's 4 others. But the total of 5 of them, I just looked at their records. All 5 of them are co-signers to sending whatever Israel wants, they'll send it over there. And I saw how people are just like, we're just so glad we got another black senator. But they're co-signing on the very things that they should be calling out, and they won't call it out. I can't go with that. I can't be happy because of that, because we got a black face in a high place. I can't be happy for that. So anyway, so again, so just to bring this to a close here. So again, black community as we know it today, it's done, y'all. I mean, it's the chapter is closed. It's in self-destruction mode right now. I cannot be a part of a common unity with people who don't have a love for each other. I saw there's these videos out of Magic Johnson's son. How many of y'all seen these videos? He must be about ready to do something. Every time I turn around, these videos are coming on my timeline, and boy, big as me. He taller than me. He's taller than me up here trying to make his voice lighter. I'm just going to say it, y'all, I'm a certain age, so I just say things or whatever. I'm like, this dude looked like a horse with a pixie cut. That's what he looked like. He looked like a whole horse with a pixie cut. And I sat up here and I said, this dude, I'm sorry. You big, dude. Your shoulders broader than mine. And he's up here like, yeah, child, because see, I be wearing this stuff and, and I, all this. He looked like Mr. Ed with a pixie cut. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Y'all look at it and tell me I'm wrong. I'm serious. But the thing is, I looked at this and I said, wow, this is really sad. All the money that this man has access to, and nobody will tell this man the truth. Nobody would tell him the truth. I got the video here. I should even, like, some of this stuff is just like, whatever. I don't, at this point, whatever. But this is video right here. Let me see. Let me bring it up here. Yeah, this is him right here. This is him right here. Let me play it. Let me bring it up here real quick. Say, dog, Dwayne, you ain't gotta say it like that. I'm gonna say, listen, look, just look at what's on the screen here. Bro, you don't have titties. But he has nobody around him that will tell him the truth. This dude has nobody around him that will tell him the truth. Nobody. You can have access to all the resources in the world, but nobody will tell you the truth. I don't want to be in a position like that. His hand's bigger than my hands. Now, again, like I said, you could, you grown, if whatever decision you want to make about how you want to live your life, that's you. You live your life. That's it. But like I said, again, if you're going to ask my opinion, I'm going to tell you the truth. Bro, no, this ain't it. This is not it. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that this is okay. This is not okay. This is not normal. And unfortunately, we have a lot of young men who are coming up just like this because you have grown people who will not tell them the truth. And when I say tell them the truth, I ain't just saying just tell them out and then you part ways and keep it moving. I'm saying tell them the truth, but also stick around and be a help and an assistance and try to see, okay, what can, and do you want help? I could help you with that. If I know people, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you and be like, man, girl, be like, you look good. You look good. And it's a lot of these young men, unfortunately, they are being gassed up by a lot of black women and are being told that they look good when that's not the truth at all. You know what story this week, you remember? And as we're winding this down now, you know what story that, from the stories I shared earlier about the little girl, what happened to her down in the Miami area, to the little boy that got shot in New Orleans, to, all the other stories that I shared this week, some of the things that stuck out to me this week. You know what story in the black space online got the most involvement with black folks this week? You know what story it was? It was Beyonce's mother who was selling gumbo down at some fair or something like that, and people start getting sick, and you have black folks all involved in that, calling her out and saying, and okay, people getting sick, that's something that needs to be called out. But a little black girl and them doing what they did to her, and nobody's really talking about that. But Tina, Beyonce Knowles, her gumbo gets more talked about than a little girl and what happened to her. Nobody's talking about that. Something ain't right. That's not community, y'all. That's not community. That is not community at all. But anyway, so how do we fix this? Like I said, I gave you some examples there. It really starts at home. It also starts with, there are practical things like your diet. If your diet is jacked up and it's off, it has a direct impact on how you handle things, decisions that you make. And a lot of what we're seeing out here today, a lot of these individuals, they're making very bad decisions because their diets are way off. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but it is a major reason. And we have to start looking at our bodies, specifically Black folks, and looking at the specific needs our bodies need. And that's what we do over at Samba Tree. So we'll be putting out more content over there, where we're going to be looking any and all the resources that we can put our hands on, and outlining, here are the things that people with bodies like ours, we need to stay all the way away from. This company here, this is the kind of stuff that they're committed to and putting in their foods. That's it. Oh, that's what I told my wife. I said, you imagine if a group of Black doctors got together and they said, we're going to call out Frito-Lay, for example. Frito-Lay puts this in here, and we've done a whole study here showing you the direct correlation between the ingredients they put in their food and the damage it does to Black bodies. In this environment today, you think Frito-Lay would just ignore that? Frito-Lay would be like, oh, whatever it is, we're not racist. Whatever, don't accuse us of being racist. They would make changes just like that. I'm telling you. That's the power we have. That's the power we have. But we have to start drawing some serious lines, because like I said again, no, these people are for your best interests at all. It would be nice, but that's not true at all. And what we're being challenged with in this day and age right now is the age of self-discovery. It is time now for you to start discovering who you are, who you really are. Okay? You can't figure everybody else out, but begin to start focusing on you. Why am I here? Why am I dealing with these specific challenges? And that's what you get into the breathing exercises, doing things like that, prioritizing being, quiet and all of that stuff, turning down the noise in your life, that kind of thing. And that will help you to start discovering who you really are. But just know that there's a lot of people that ain't going to be able to go with you. They're not. They're just not. Okay, so that's our challenge to you this evening and this weekend, is really begin to discover who you are. Commit to that. And it's not about community per se, like the Black community. Because like I said, what you name, you control. What you name, you control. And does it seem like we're doing a pretty good job controlling the Black community narrative? No. So I have to start looking at building my own community. And guess what? My community doesn't have a name. I don't want it to have a name. I'll set the boundaries begin in my house, and then I just go with that. I don't want to call it the Dwayne community, the Samba community. We say that for Samba Tree because that's business or whatever, but no. The Dwayne community. Don't you know churches do this same principle? They understand this principle. They put a name on a church, and to that degree, the people who attend it are controlled. Because why? They're part of something that is named. And if it has a name attached to it, to that degree, it's controlled by the very person that named it. So we need to practice being nameless. And you need to start thinking about that, okay? Doesn't mean, when you're nameless, it doesn't mean that you're lost. It means that to that degree, you can't be controlled. Okay? We'll be talking more about these topics. We'll be getting into this a little bit deeper. I did a video earlier this week. I knew for some people that, it's like, oh, I don't know, even the title. But I would encourage you, go back and look at it. Go back and look at it. It ain't that long. But it is a challenge to start thinking beyond just these boundaries that we put ourselves in. We don't have to continue to think in these boundaries like we've been thinking. Oh, my face looks, it's hot. I say greasy. But anyway, that is it. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much, always, and really appreciate you guys so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me And I really appreciate it very much. Thank you so much as always. Remember, make sure you check out our website, sambatree.com. We brought those tropical juices back. So go get yourself some, okay? Thank you again so much, you guys. Listen, you guys take care, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.